works. We should be back. We should be back in action. I hope we are back in action. I apologize for any technical difficulties. It wasn't. I don't think it was anything we did. I hope not. I think just sometimes things happen. We got to number 5 on the point guard list. If you are just joining us for the first time somehow, at number 16, there were 16 total names. It was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Tied for 13, it was Luka Doncic, Damian Lillard, and Rajon Rondo. At 12, it was Walt Frazier. At 11, it was Gary Payton. At 10, it was Russell Westbrook. At 9, it was John Stockton. At 8, it was Isaiah Thomas. At 7, it was Steve Nash. And at 6, it was Jason Kidd. If you want to hear all our reasonings, go watch part 1 of this stream because it has been cut into 2 now. So unfortunately, well, or fortunately, you're getting the top 5 in one video. One could say it was made to be great content. I don't know. It might be perfect. But at number 5, which is where we are
10,
now.
1 through 5. Them
yeah, well,
16.
Yeah, 16. 16
videos,
yeah,
you know,
content. Yeah,
Hey.
this the top 5. This the top 5. You know what? Let me change the title right now. The top 5 point guards in NBA history. There you go. But anyway, we are on to number 5. This guy has 99 points out of a possible 190. That is 22 more points than Jason Kidd at number 6. When it comes down to the voting, I had this guy in 4th. John D had him in 5th. Lowe had him in 5th. ZZ had him in 6th. Tyler from Hoop Venue had him at 5. Chill had him at 9. Real Talk had him at 5. Ox had him at 8. Ron had him at 10. KB had him at 7. Pirate had him at 6. Gifted had him at 6. Penn had him at 3. Riv had him at 4. Carson had him at 5. Dream had him at 3. Swiper had him at 6. Jordan had him at 7. And Sean had him at 6. That was where everyone decided to rank Christopher Emmanuel Paul. I'm going to start because I had him the highest of all of us up here. The reason I had him 4th was simply longevity over the person I had him 5th. But just as a player, he is, in my opinion, the 3rd best defense, 4th best defensive player on my top 10. He is the 4th best passer on my top 10. He is one of the best pick and roll players of all time. He is one of the best mid-range shooters of all time. He is someone who could play on and off ball. He was someone who played better in the playoffs despite the narratives against him. He was just a ridiculous player. It's someone who, in recent weeks, I've only just realized how underrated he truly is. I've been so busy pushing my Steve Nash propaganda that Chris Paul has just been there getting underrated, and I've been doing nothing about it. So now I'm trying to push back against some of the nonsense I'm hearing, like him being 10th and 9th on some people who I share a panel with Monday through Friday's list.
We'll be there tomorrow.
That's ridiculous. So really, I'm gonna ask you guys. I'm gonna put the question to you. What is Chris Paul not great at on a basketball court? What is he not great at?
Not great.
Yes.
Rebounding.
Okay.
There you go.
Hey,
there you go. Like,
Okay.
but truly though, yeah, you can definitely make the case that Chris Paul is one of the more well-rounded players at his position. Defensively, he got through screens really well. He had some of the best hands I've ever seen. You can't play with the ball in front of Chris Paul. One of the more accurate mid-range shooters I've ever seen, especially out of the pick and roll and attacking mismatches against bigs. Kind of like the just I'm gonna lackadaisical dribble behind my back through the legs, and I'm just gonna pull up for mid range and knock it down every single time, especially around the elbow. He was really good in transition, especially with Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan just being able to push the pace and throw lobs, especially like manipulating the defense to think he was going to kick it out to Matt Barnes or Jared Butler or whoever was on the floor at the time, and then dumping it down to Blake Griffin. CP3 was amazing, and I was watching him against OKC, especially in game 1. Heater. I think it was like 2014. Yeah, 2014.
That's the series that he sold. Game 4. Was it game 4 he sold?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe don't watch that one for the propaganda, but
game 1, I think he had like 17 in the first quarter, pull up like 4 for 4 from 3. When he's on a heater and it's like 35 and 12 CP, it's truly one of the best things to watch. One of the more underrated handles at his position, got to the rim really effectively. Really good lob passer, like I said. I couldn't have CP3 out my top 5 just because of the longevity, and every team he has went on has been better. I mean, you can make the argument about Golden State, but San Antonio, Phoenix, OKC, obviously one of the more underrated floor raising seasons of all time. Not CP3. The Clippers were great with him. CP3 was great. He was great.
Real talk.
Great question that you started off with, as far as like, what is he not great at? I mean, there's nothing he can't do as a point guard. Everything you want your point guard to do, he does it. Shoot out a pick and roll, can catch and shoot low key too. Great passer, great decision maker. One of the original really cognizant of his turnovers during a game. Like, he's very much so paying attention to that. Elite free throw shooter as well. Really, the only thing that's holding him like out are just the physical gifts. Unfortunately, he's just 6 feet tall. Not an explosive athlete. So what?
Wait, CP.
Not okay. Yeah. Not. I'm saying to the degree of others, but yeah, young CP was definitely getting to it, and he's another player that deserves credit for, like, he hit the league and was good, like was good as a rookie, and then by year 3 was in MVP conversations. Like, it wasn't a build up, and usually point guard is the toughest position to learn how to play in the league for a lot of people, and he hit the ground running and has been elite for a very, 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 very long time. And to have this longevity at that size is incredible.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I ultimately had him above one of the 2 that are coming up. I think most people have figured out who's going to be in the top 4 if they haven't already. You guys both had Chris Paul below those guys without saying the order in which you had them. What led you to putting Chris Paul below them?
I think the impact on era, like, one of those guys had consistently led top tier offenses. I think he was a really underrated scorer in his era. I know a lot of people look at that era and be like, oh, these guys were plumbers and all those things. They had a day job right after the games, like things like that. But I think as a rebounder, scorer, shooter, and the other one, you can argue the best scorer in that era, really good defender, got to the rim really well and finished at the rim, I think, with some really good craft. So I think both of them are very underrated in their era and very impactful for the time they were going for.
I agree, but one of them just not good enough. I'm sorry, man, just not good enough. Is there anything you guys want to add to Chris Paul before we move on to the number 4?
Last year of CP, man, it's crazy.
Oh yeah,
this is last year coming up.
Yeah,
they need a
man. He needs to go get that championship, man. Rejoin the Suns and go get that championship, man.
Never win his way, man. Just never win his way.
Yeah, a lot
of really blocked his blessing.
There was a super chat regarding that from 913 T-Mac. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not on this stream because, but I remember you 913 T-Mac. You did bring up that trade. Teddy Hart sent another super chat regarding Chris Paul, by the way. So shout out to Teddy Hart. Said, I'm not saying everyone has to be as high on Chris Paul as me, but anything lower than 7 is crazy. I expect that kind of stuff from Ox and Ron, but chill. That one hurt, LOL. Wish you guys had a call in line. I am thinking about bringing back open court,
Mm.
but we'll see. But yeah, I am going to talk to Cho about Chris Paul at 9 because that's not adding up to me. But on to number 4. Oh, never mind. Teddy Hart. More Chris Paul propaganda. I saw him literally clamp down prime KD, the best scorer ever in the 2014 playoffs. Who else has ever individually locked up KD? Neither Kawhi or Giannis can even say that. KD did struggle with the smaller defenders in general, to be fair. Just because you could get into his airspace, get up under him. And you could get away with more physicality too. But Chris Paul definitely did a hell of a job on guys bigger than him. It's why I'm so high, because he wasn't someone who you could just mismatch on him into oblivion. Because his strong base, his low center of gravity, and his ability to understand angles and smarts and use his body, he wasn't someone who you could just, let's bring him into the action. Oh, he's too small. You might have some fortune with that, but more often than not, Chris Paul's going to hold his own. So
he found out the basketball truth, which is when you're the smaller player, you can just foul the hell out of him.
Shout out to Alex Caruso. He figured that out too. Yeah. And now look, he locked down the quote unquote greatest offensive player ever. Anyway, on to number 4. This guy had, bear with me. This guy had 119 points. So 20 points more than Chris Paul. So really, it was Zeke, Nash, and Kidd in their little group. Chris Paul above them, but not close to the next group of guys, which I guess kind of makes sense. I had this guy in 5th. John D had him 4th. Lowe had him 4th. ZZ had him 3rd. Tyler had him 3rd. Chill had him 6th. Real Talk had him 4th. Ox had him 7th. Ron had him 7th. KB had him 3rd. Pirate had him 3rd. Gifted had him 9th. Penn had him 6th. Riv had him 5th. Carson had him 4th. Dream had him 5th. Swiper had him 3rd. Jordan had him 5th. And Sean had him 4th. We are talking about the original Mr. Triple Double, Oscar Robertson. I obviously had him the lowest, but you guys both had him in 4th. So I'm going to leave the floor to you. Talk to me about Oscar Robertson.
You want to go Real Talk or you want me to go?
Oh, no, go ahead, John D.
Truly one of the more underrated scorers in that era. I mean, playing in transition, he was a really good shooter in the mid-range. Also, he was very strong. He played with his back to the basket a lot. I don't know if it was the Kansas City Royals. I may be wrong. Cincinnati Royals. Yeah, I'm thinking baseball. Cincinnati. Anyway, they had one of the better offenses in the league throughout like a multi-year stretch. It's just the defense was so bad that in that era, having a bad defense wasn't ever going to really get you any success. But then he transferred over to Milwaukee and played with Kareem and still was still very valuable. I think Oscar being able to pass, score, defend, he's not the greatest defender, but I still think he was solid. Rebound at the level he did on top of being 6'5" and very athletic. Like, I don't think a lot of people talk about how freak of an athlete Oscar Robertson was compared to the league around him. Like the strength, the speed, the transition play. That's what led me to have him at 4.
Real Talk.
One of the original, hubs. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Tate, but like one of the original old player can be best ball handler, playmaker, and scorer on the team. Have the ball in their hands a lot of usage. One of the originals of that archetype. And I do think that does get you high up on this list, in my opinion. Especially if you're not bleeding out any value defensively, which is kind of what what some of these offensive hubs run into when we get into grading these lists. So, yeah, all-time great player. I haven't seen much of him. There's not much to see, but yeah.
But you gave him his flowers.
Yeah, his flowers.
I had him 6th, so I guess lower than you guys. I favored Chris Paul. The two-way stuff was valuable to me. Oscar, I think hub is a valid word. He was like, especially for the area, he was a big guard, 6'4", 6'5", could shoot really well. He was one of the first guards running legitimate pick and roll. Like, it wasn't just DHO. Like, you could run the offense through him. It's gonna sound crazy. I'm talking about the sixth best point guard ever. He could dribble with both hands. Like, he could go both sides with the ball. Like, that was a big deal. He could shoot pull-up jumpers. He was a really good decision maker. He was the best passer in the league, and I think that was very comfortable to say that. Really good rebounder. Had a very interesting technique when it came to rebounds, but really, really good rebounder. I don't know how I would grade his defense for that era. I just think with his athletic tools, I think probably you're still going to be a positive, but I don't think he was elite in any sense of the words. But he was able to play. He was able to speed the game up. He was able to play with pace and play in the half court while everything was being frantic. He was able to just get to where he wanted on the court, make consistent jump shots, all of that good stuff. The reason I favored Chris Paul was A, the longevity, and then B, the defense. And it's why I went with the other guy, Jerry West. Jerry West, the other guy.
We don't have to hide the top three.
Yeah. We Jerry West was the other guy. I favored Jerry West because I think the two-way stuff was just more impactful for me. In the 60s, I think defense was more valuable than offense. So Oscar being the typical offensive hub, generally speaking, probably is more valuable. But he happened to play in the era where defense, I think, outweighed offense. And Jerry West was one of, if not the best defensive guard in the league, along with, in my opinion, being the best scorer in the league. That's value that I think outweighs Oscar Robertson. I do value what he did on the 71 Bucks. People seem to act like he was just washed. Oscar Robertson was a top 10 player in the league in 1971. And that Bucks team was a dominant team with Costello coaching. Shout out to Larry Costello. But yeah, ultimately, I just went with him at 6. Favored Chris Paul slightly, but I think everything you guys said about Oscar Robertson holds true. All-time great offensive engine. One of the original, I think, offensive engine. Yeah, maybe Bob Cousy, who got no points, by the way. Maybe Bob Cousy, but like Bob Cousy notwithstanding. Pre-shot clock notwithstanding, probably the first offensive, like modern offensive centerpiece. So I think deserves a lot of credit for that. 913 T-Max said belt to behind for Ron about Chris Paul Mars. Ron gonna do Ron things, but I'm definitely gonna talk to Chill. Yeah, anything if it comes up, yeah, if I remember, someone reminds me, yeah, I want, because 9 is crazy.
I'll be up there. I'll remind you. I always love y'all. I always love when y'all go at it. I'll just sit back. 9 is insane to me. I'm sorry, but we might as well talk tomorrow. We might as well talk about these guys in conjunction. The other guy, Jerry West, had 130 points, so ultimately 11 points above Oscar Robertson. So it was quite comfortable. In terms of where everyone had him, myself, John D, and Lowe had him at 3. ZZ had him at 5. Tyler had him at 4. Chill had him at 4. Real Talk had him at 3. Ox had him at 5. Ron had him at 5. KB had him at 4. Pirate had him at 4. Gifted had him at 4. Penn had Jerry West at 9. I'm very curious to understand why he did that. Riv had Jerry West at 3. Carson had Jerry West at 3. Dream had him at 6. Swiper had him at 4. Jordan had Jerry West at 2. Wow.
So one of them, yeah, damn. Jordan had Jerry West at 2. And Sean had Jerry West at 5. We all had Jerry West in the same spot. All of us had him at 3. So instead of just why is he better than Oscar Robertson, for me, I've been very consistent. Jerry West to me was the best scorer of that 60s decade. I know Wilt had the crazy numbers, 50, blah, blah, blah. From like 61, 2-ish till the end of the decade, Jerry West, with his scoring arsenal, skill set, playoff translation, all of that, to me was the best scorer in the league. You couldn't keep him off the free throw line, and he was a good free throw shooter. That was the difference between him and Wilt. He was an elite mid-range shooter with range that would extend to a real three-point line that doesn't exist, but still extending defenses all the way out there. Really, like John D said, a really crafty finisher. Could play back to the basket game. Could handle the ball. Could get to spots on the floor. There was really no hole in his scoring game. I could argue Jerry West is the best scorer on this list. I could make that argument. Now, is he? Maybe. But I could make that argument. And then defensively, I know his listed height, I think, is 6'3" on Basketball Reference. That's
I've
cap.
heard he's like, I've heard he's like
That's
6'4",
cap. I don't know what to
6'5".
tell you. I'm watching those games. He's 6'5", 6'6". He is huge. So big guards, really good defensively, really good getting deflections, passing lanes, ripping people. Now, once again, when guys can't go left, ripping people. But I do things relative to error. So being able to get out in transition, get yourself easy ones. And then he was able to block shots. He was a really good athlete, really fast in the open court. I don't think Jerry West had many flaws in his game. I think he became a really good passer later on in his career. He came in, wasn't much of a passer. It was pretty much run and gun. Let me go put points on the board. But mid-60s, 65, 66 and on, he became a really good passer. He wasn't Oscar Robertson, but he was a really good passer who could make decisions, who could play off his own gravity, drawing double teams, able to make reads. All of that stuff was extremely valuable. Could play off the ball. That's another separator between him and Oscar for me, his off-ball game. I'm just really high on Jerry West, man. I considered Jerry West at number 2. I considered him. It wasn't a very long consideration, but I did consider him. So that's how high I am on Jerry West. Is there anything you guys want to say about the logo?
I think very hard to find Jerry West games. I've watched about 3 games. So from what I've gathered, very good scorer, very good defender.
What did he average in those 3 games?
Shit, who knows? It's hard to keep up. It's hard to keep up, man. But from what I've seen, I do like his handle and how he was able to get to the rim, even from like the angles he used from putting the ball on the backboard, whether it was high glass, just being able to finish around ankles and taller defenders, I think was very important. Very good shooter and very good defender. So I had to have Jerry West at 3.
Real talk.
Definitely my favorite pre-80s watch by far. Not even close. I love watching Jerry West play. And he's been one of the very few, because usually I have like the Bills and the Wilts. I put them in honorable mention. I don't really rank them. I have Jerry West in my top 15 because I think Jerry West can play. Like his skill set allows me to translate him in my mind. Like he's a hell of a basketball player. One of the best pull-up shooters ever. Could get to the cup. Good athlete. Really, really was a 3-level scorer if there was 3 levels to be had. Like Jerry West was one of them.
My favorite pre-80s watch is George Gervin. George Gervin, watching George Gervin.
He might be on the 2-guard list next week. Maybe. We'll see.
Might be.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. My favorite Jerry West moment, it was the 1970 NBA Finals. They lost the series in Game 7. Jerry West hits a full court shot. And because there was no 3-point line, it only sent the game to overtime.
Yeah,
I saw that clip.
If that's a 3, maybe Jerry West has another title. Who knows? It's just crazy how the rules have and he was 1-8 in the finals. So like people hold that against him. Maybe that's what Penn's talking about when he had him at 9. My inkling is that him and Nash is 10 and West is 9. I'm just observing. But
West lower than what now? Everybody like or at least for me, I just kind of always categorize him as a 2. But it's good looking back and seeing he was a point guard.
Yeah,
which
the issue
even challenges the theory of like the traditional point was the.
I definitely agree with that. The issue with Jerry West, I think I used to categorize him as a 2. Now it's like he was listed as a point guard for most of his career. But like the issue is, you go back and watch those games, they just called him and Gail Goodrich or whoever the 2 guards. Like that, it was just guard.
Yeah, they just did guard.
Yeah, so like these labels have been attributed to Jerry West after the fact. Like at the time, it was just he played as a guard. That was it. So that's why it's like, it doesn't really matter. But we ultimately put him on the point guard list. He ended up coming in at number 3. Now, this is the moment everyone's been waiting for.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see
the top 2. I will say there's 190 points on the table. One of these guys had 179. Damn. The other one had 181. So it was really
neck and neck. Yeah.
That's how close it ultimately was. 181 to 179. And I'm going to read off the first place. This is where everyone, you know what? I'm not even going to say who had them because that means you guys will know who came first. I'm just going to read off their standings. First, second, first, second, first, second, first, second, third. That's how.
Oh, okay. So now I know who that one was.
I know who it is. Yeah,
that's the person. That's the person who came. This is the person who came second. That was the person who just came second. And then the person who came first, second, first, second, first, second, first, second, first, second, first. That's how close it was. Ultimately, if Jordan isn't smoking crack and doesn't put Jerry West 2, it would have been 181 to 180. That's what would have happened. It would have been separated by 1 point.
Yeah.
But Magic Johnson is the greatest point guard of all time, according to the combined Hoop Talk.
I'm sorry, man. I can't.
According to the combined Hoop Talk top 10, Magic Johnson by 2 points is the greatest point guard of all time. Now, unfortunately, for the conversation, me, John D, ZZ, and Road Talk all had Steph number 1. So there was no one to push back.
That's why we had to have chill up here.
But let's first talk about the second place winner, Steph Curry. We all had him at number 1. But without making the case why he's better than Magic, let's just talk a little bit about Steph Curry. John D, I know you're the highest on him up here. So talk to me, John D.
I am the guy that thinks Steph Curry has the greatest offensive peak of all time. I think what Steph was doing compared to the era of still having like, it was like towards the end of having still double big lineups. Like there was still Greg Monroe and Andre Drummond front courts still happening. Like that was still a thing. So to be able to get switches on command like that on the perimeter, extremely valuable. I still think Steph's one of the greatest transition players the league has ever seen just because of the gravity. People just saying like, oh my God, we have to get to Steph because every shot he shoots, it feels like it's going to go in. It does not feel like at any point in the game, it doesn't matter if Steph hasn't made a 3 in 3 weeks, you have to guard him like he's just hit 10 straight. I don't think there's ever been a player like that can create offense for their team so easily like Steph can, to the point where throughout his career, he's averaged maybe 5 to 6 assists a game. I say he's averaged maybe 8 or 9, just because like literally creating 4-on-3 opportunities in the pick and roll, having guys completely ignore the cutter, ignore the guy in transition, running straight to the basket. We all know the infamous clip of KD running in transition without being picked up one time, twice in the same quarter.
Yeah.
Crazy. Now you can understand that may be communication issues. I understand that. But when Steph Curry is leaking out to that corner, I don't care who's running in transition. I don't know. Maybe I'm higher on Steph than a lot of people are, but I think there's never been a point guard. And to be honest, when like all this was happening and I was in like 7th grade, I didn't like Steph. Like somebody in the chat can like confirm it. I hated Steph. And now he's one of my favorite players just because, again, I've never seen someone create offense that effortlessly by just walking on the floor. Like some teams are willing to put their best perimeter defender on Steph, and Steph can just sit at the half court line while the best perimeter defender isn't impacting anything in the half court. Effortlessly creating offense. Effortlessly.
Real talk.
I agree. Steph Curry is a very fascinating basketball player. I think I'm fairly high on him. I get the Steph hater tag a lot. I
think you're low on old Steph. But you might be high on old man Steph, not the young.
Yeah.
Current Steph.
Yeah. That fair. But Steph Curry, I mean, we haven't seen anything like that. Just like John D said, and just to emphasize the point, like that threshold of shooting that he's put out there that only him and nobody else has even like seen those kind of heights. That's why I don't even like when people say such and such next Steph Curry. Caitlin Clark is just no. We
Reach
haven't
wrong.
seen a
Trey.
Reach
we haven't
Lonzo
seen
Ball
a
Steph with
human
a 40-inch
being.
bird.
Yeah. Like we haven't
Yo,
seen
man.
a human being shoot the ball like that. We really haven't. A lot of people are very high on his 2016 year, obviously. Um, Greatest offensive peak ever, John D. I don't agree with you, but I can definitely see the argument. He's somebody I think I will say this. Biggest bender of defenses I think I've ever seen in my life.
Bending them. Just bending them.
Yeah, Mars. Yeah, Mars. It's either him or Shaq. One
Shaq?
of the
Yeah, I was
two.
gonna say
Yeah.
Shaq.
Yeah, Shaq's
It's
up
either
there,
him or
100%.
Shaq. But I'm saying,
Okay.
like, well, let me say that for a perimeter player. How about that? Let's say it like that.
Okay.
Best bender of defenses for a perimeter player, and that shooting prowess is, just like anything we haven't seen before. But also to add on to that, the finishing gets underrated because of his shooting, the ability to pull up in the mid range if he has to. But he even hits that at a ridiculous clip. There's really not any spot on the floor where he's not hitting a shot at a ridiculous rate. So I would say he's the best scorer on this list. Also, I know you brought up Jerry West. I would say it's Steph Curry, and revolutionized the game, man.
His shooting ability made so much things easier. Like
Yeah.
his shooting ability made his ball handling easier. Like there was points where it's like
Because all you gotta do is throw a hezzy. Like,
exactly,
Mhm.
and it's like easy. It's easy. His shooting made a lot of things easier, and that's what I'm really high on. Just making offense easier for yourself and for everyone around you. And it's I don't even think we've brought up probably one of the greatest off-ball players the league has ever seen.
Mhm.
Like him and Reggie Miller. Like I think they're in a tier of their own when it comes to off-ball play, being able to come off pin downs. But if somebody's trapping the pin down, then you could just cut right back into a cut and have an easy layup. Just the off-ball ability from Steph, man. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. He was the greatest point guard of all time, in my opinion. Yeah.
Definitely better than Magic Johnson. I mean, this is actually
we
a
not gonna
disgrace.
let you get the hate off. Not right now.
This
anyway.
is not hate.
That's why he's
This
here.
is not
He
hate.
wants to do
This
it.
is not hate.
Well,
I
let
promise
me
you. I was
praise
really,
Steph
and I
first.
really kept the PC. I wanted to put Jerry over Magic. Honestly, I really did.
I
But
consider Jerry at 2. And like I said, not for very long, but I did consider him. I also consider Magic at 1. So do that what you want. Well, I heavily consider Magic at 1. I ain't gonna lie. But ultimately, I went with Steph. I think I'm gonna echo a lot of the sentiments you guys said. I think it's similar to the point that Rotalk made about the scoring with Kevin Durant. Steph being the greatest shooter ever does a disservice to like how much he's the greatest shooter ever by. Like, I know Ox says Ray Allen's better. I don't know if he actually believes that. I hope he does.
I hope he does.
But like, I look at Steph and away from the actual ability to shoot, to John D's point, the way that changes the dimensions of the court is something that we haven't seen before. And to your point about him or Shaq, that's where I see the Steph point. It's like, and I think Pirate said it. I'm just using a bunch of people's takes and spewing them out here now. I think Pirate said it, like the Warriors for a stretch of years, I can't remember the years he said, led the league in like rim field goal percentage or assisted field goals at the rim or both of them, whatever. And it's because, quite frankly, Steph draws the defense. He changes the formula of how defense works. It's meant to be defend the rim and then get out to the 3. But he short circuits the whole system because he's generating layup efficiency from 28 feet. If you're not contesting it with 2 people, you're cooked. Now, I don't agree with, I'm running to Steph in the corner before I try to stop a transition dunk. No. But I understand why the miscommunications happen so often with Steph. Because if you are the guy who leaves Steph open, you're getting benched. So it's like sometimes you miscommunicate because both of you think he'll go to the ball, I'll go to Steph, and it turns out both of you guys went to Steph. So I understand how it happens. I think my hesitation was, do I think Steph's a better defender than Magic? Peak for peak, like peak Steph on defense versus peak Magic on defense, I think Magic is better. I think young Magic, first couple years, 1980 to 82, 83, when he was more mobile, when he was being able to be that defensive playmaker, playing like behind that free safety role, I think Magic was a more impactful defender. In terms of both of the players at their peak, so 16 to 21 Steph versus 87 to 89 Magic, I think Steph was a better defender. I think by that point, Magic had tailed off completely on defense. He was, I think, actively hurting his team. Steph, I think, was able to be viable within his scheme. Now, is he able to be more viable within his scheme because of the personnel? Yes, absolutely. So it's hard to dissect that. And then offensively, I think Steph is the more impactful offensive player because of the malleability, the ability to have him play on the ball and play off the ball, be maybe the best off-ball player ever, while being able to be someone who can create an advantage on the ball just by calling for a screen. The moment Steph Curry calls for a screen, you got two on the ball, you're playing an advantage game. Magic, I think, is more ball dominant just by the nature of him being the best passer ever. And I think consistently he churns out, like in terms of offensive results, the Lakers offenses, I think, were better than the Warriors offenses. Like, especially when you look at the later parts of the dynasty run for the Warriors, 2022, 2021, even like 2019, the KD years, they weren't as good as the Magic Lakers with or without Kareem. Like in 91, I think the Lakers had a top 5 offense with Magic and no Kareem and James Worthy and et cetera, et cetera. So I think Magic was able to just generate elite offense more consistently in terms of results. But in terms of like the vibe, like I don't know the vibe, like Steph was just, it was different. And maybe I'm over indexing on the fact that it was different, and maybe I'm overstating how good it actually was. I'm willing to have that conversation. Maybe because it was so unique, I'm overstating its effectiveness compared to Magic, who is more in line with the great ball dominant players. But I just think Steph's fit with a bunch of different people, the shooting ability, the way he is able to change the dimensions of the court, and then the longevity. The fact he's been doing this is 2014 now, 2013, really. And then at this level, well, not this level, but like the peak years, 16, 17, 18, 19, 2021, that is some of the best offensive seasons I've ever seen. And then at this age, still being one of the best offensive players in the league, still being that impactful. You look at this Warriors offense when Steph's not on the floor, they crater. Now, some of that's personnel, like the team just stinks. But like you put Steph on the floor, and I know they don't win a lot of games, and that comes back to a whole different kind of worms. But the offense is good. When Steph is on the floor, the offense is good. But the question is, can Steph scale up? Can you trust Steph to play 42 minutes a game when you need him to? Can he be the guy consistently in a playoff run? And can he give you, not Allen Iverson minutes, but can he give you that load? Can he pause? But like, can he give you that burden for that stretch of time that some of the other great offensive players have given you? LeBron James, we've seen him give you 40 minutes per game in the playoffs. Magic Johnson, I'm pretty sure we've seen him give you something close to that in the playoffs. Let's just check. 41, 42, 40, 43, point proven. Like those guys were able to do that. Whereas with Steph, is he able to do that consistently? Does the value dissipate when he gets tired and he loses legs and he's not getting his legs under him on his jump shot and stuff? Maybe. That's the concern I have. Like you look at Steph in the dynasty run, 15, 39 minutes a game. Fair enough. Then it's 34, 35, 37, 38, 35, 38, 35. Like it's in and around, but like that extra 4 minutes of value, that's 4 minutes where you don't have it from Steph. So like that was my hesitation, but I ultimately favored Steph, the longevity. I do think he is the better offensive player. I think both at their peak as players, I think Steph is the better defender, although I think Magic's defensive peak is higher. But ultimately, I just favored Steph. You guys all favored Steph. So now let's talk about the actual number one, the one who won despite us all voting for Steph. Magic Johnson. Real talk, you seem like you have something you want to get off your chest. Talk to me.
No, it's just like I get it. Magic Johnson was great. Top 3 transition player ever. Absolutely. I don't know how he came number 1 on this list, man. The limitations in the half court that I'm seeing, I know, and Mars had the point because we had this conversation a little bit ago. It's like, well, if he's just able to stay in transition the whole time, I mean, fair point. Fair. However, I also feel like that's a bit of maybe an error flaw, right? Transition defense. Why isn't the transition defense better? Why can't they just fast break the entirety of the game? I don't get that. Also, though, I have air attack Steph Curry though for that 2016 season because John D brought it up before that there were still double big lineups going in 2016. So he was like getting these switches.
Oh,
with
were you
Rudy
one of them
Gobert and-
2021 is Steph's true peak people? Okay.
Not true peak, but I do think that's his most impressive season.
Okay.
That's what I say. I'd say that's his most impressive season. So great transition player, probably the best passer ever, as far as just the skill of passing. Definitely developed that little post game later on in his career. Even had a little set 3. He could hit that
Got like
a little
90%
bit.
from the free throw line.
Yeah, good free throw shooter. So real talk, the same dude hasn't. Well, mind you, I've seen more than 5 Magic games, right? I
do feel like you are drastically underrating him. Like
I am.
Yeah,
I don't know.
you speak on Magic Johnson in the half court like he was Jason Kidd.
No, not Jason Kidd. No,
that's genuinely
Jason
how you
Kidd.
sound when you talk about Magic Johnson.
I think he was like a really good mismatch attacker, especially like being 6'9"
agree.
and having that ability to finish at the rim. Also, 3 straight playoff runs where he averaged 13 and a half assists or more.
Yeah, I seen he had a postseason run.
Did we see those assists?
Yeah, we was talking about he was averaging like 15 a game in like 85, 86 playoffs. I remember that. We spoke about it on Lowe's playback. Shout out to Lowe.
Mm-hmm.
But like Magic Johnson was someone who could score. Like his postseason efficiency in his peak, had to pull it up. 1987, 21 points per 75, plus 7 relative true shooting. 1988, 20 points per 75 plus 7.5. 1989, 19.5 and plus 7.7. 1990, 24 points per 75 and plus 8. Like, he could score the ball. And it wasn't just transition. He was going to post you up. He had a baby hook that he could get to. He did have the mid-range set shot if you went under a ball screen. He was able to abuse mismatches, get himself in close to the rim. Like, he could score the ball. Like, he could score the ball, and he could also play make in the half court. Like, it wasn't the playmaking wasn't like, oh, he's gonna collapse a defense and finds a kick out. It was like, I'm gonna watch the court, I'm gonna survey the court, and then you're gonna look away for 0.4 seconds, and there you go, there's a layup. Like, that's what he was doing. It wasn't the same as like, it wasn't Steve Nash where he's gonna probe and do all of that stuff. It was just the moment I see an opening, I'm gonna take it. And in an era where the openings were so few and far between because of how congested everything was, Magic's skill set to find those openings or create them with lookaways and deception was extremely valuable. Like, I'm gonna ask a question, and it might sound crazy, and I think the answer is probably the one you're thinking instantly, but I want to ask the question anyway. What gap is wider? The gap between Magic Johnson as a passer, between him and number 2, or Steph as a shooter, between him and number 2?
That's
shooter,
not, yeah, like my first thought says shooter, but it's like Steph isn't anywhere near the level of passer Magic is in his own right, though.
Yeah, but that's I'm saying, let's say, who do you guys think the second best passer ever is? Just give me a name. Hoping you say the right.
Skill of. I got Jason Kidd.
Okay, Jason Kidd
is up there. I will go Steve Nash. Maybe
there you go. That's the right answer. But let's say Jason Kidd, Steve Nash. I don't need to hear no more answers. Is is Jason Kidd and Steve Nash closer to Magic Johnson as a passer than whoever you think the second best shooter is? Ray Allen, Clay, KD, Steve Nash, whoever you think it is that gap closer?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, that's all. That's all I was asking.
100%.
That's all I was asking. I would agree. I think, but I think point I'm trying to make. I think Magic is so far ahead, and I'm high on Steve Nash, and I think he's the second best passer ever. I think Magic is so far ahead as a passer of everyone else that it's like it's borderline comparable to the Steph gap. I would favor Steph, but it's borderline comparable. Like that's how wide I think the gap is between Magic and the next person.
Really?
Yes. Some of the part, because I'm talking about strictly the skill of passing.
Mm-hmm.
The ability, Magic Johnson, and to be fair, Luka's like this as well. But Magic Johnson is one of the only players I go back and watch, and he's throwing passes that not only I can't see, I can't even see how there was an opportunity to see it. Like there's some guys who make passes where the first time you see them throw it, it's like, oh, I didn't see that. Then you watch it back and you're like, oh, I just wasn't paying attention to that at that point in the game. Magic Johnson throws passes where he throws it, and I didn't see it when I first watched him. Like, how did he see that? Then I watch it back, and I still don't know how he saw it.
These are a lot of his like interior passes.
Yes, the interior reads through these windows. I'm watching him throw the ball through like 4 bodies, and I'm like, I don't even know how you. Now, there's plenty of times where he tries to throw those passes and it doesn't work out. Obviously, when you're that high risk, high rewards, but some of it is just the audacity. I think is a great word. The audacity to throw some of them passes is just ridiculous. And I think it's also why I think he's probably the best playmaker ever, despite not having the best scoring gravity and whatever the case may be. But just the opportunities he was creating in half court, in transition in particular. Like, there's a reason why the Lakers' offenses were just dominant. Like, dominant, especially in the postseason. You couldn't slow them down, and that's because of Magic Johnson. I'm talking myself into Magic 1. I'm going to be honest. I'm talking myself into Magic 1. So either you guys might want to shut me up, or you guys might want to start telling me how Magic sucks.
It just gets to a point to where like I get the Magic, like he also grades out very well, like analytically. However, there's a certain I'm watching them play though. Like when I watch Steph Curry, like Steph Curry's better than Magic Johnson. I don't really know how else to really in so many words how to say that in different ways, Mars. When I watch both of them play, I just think Steph Curry's better. I don't really know like how else to break it down.
You watch Chris Paul play, right?
Mm-hmm.
You think Oscar Robertson's better?
Now look, I had to respect Oscar. I just had to respect it. Like, and to be fair to Oscar too, it's not much Oscar to watch, right? I'm doing this thing on the internet now about this Magic Johnson thing. Trust me, these are the first Magic Johnson games I've laid my eyes on. Okay, I'm not just coming to this opinion off of 3. Like, bro, Oscar, who's better in half court, Steph or Magic?
I think Steph's better in the half court. I think Steph's a better offensive player. I just want to put that out there. But I just taught myself.
Okay, so then
no, I said I had Steph at 1. I just said the way I was talking, because I'm. It seems like to me you were like the moment I said we're doing this, you wrote Steph at 1 instantly, right?
Absolutely.
See, that's the disconnect. I thought about it. I was debating. I was contemplating. I was deliberating. I was like, yeah. And then even before the show, I was like, yeah. But then I was like, let's keep it close for the content, 181, 179. So I was like, I'm going to stick with Steph at 1. But I think it's close. Like, that's where I think it's close. You don't think it's close. That's where the divide is. I think, John D, do you think it's close?
I think it's close. I mean, well, I'm kind of in the middle. I don't think it's like a gap, but I necessarily don't think it's like, a hair. I would still comfortably take Steph, but I'm not as far as real talk is.
Okay, I get it. Okay, I guess maybe I'm the highest on Magic here or the lowest on Steph. I don't know, but that does wrap up our top 10. I'm going to read off the combined top 10 we had in descending or ascending order, so from the bottom to the top. Well, actually, I'm going to start with the bottom completely. 16th place, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Tied for 13th was Luka Doncic, Damian Lillard, and Rajon Rondo. In 12th, yes, it was Walt Frazier. In 11th, it was Gary Payton. In 10th, it was Russell Westbrook. In 9th, it was John Stockton. In 8th, it was Isaiah Thomas. In 7th, it was Steve Nash. In 6th, it was Jason Kidd. In 5th, it was Chris Paul. In 4th, it was Oscar Robertson. In 3rd, it was Jerry West. In 2nd, it was Magic Johnson. No, in 2nd, it was Steph Curry. And in 1st, it was Magic Johnson. That was our combined top 10 point guards of all time with the help of 19 people. You saw Real Talk, you saw ZZ on the first part of this, you saw John D, you saw myself, but Low contributed to this list, Hoop Venue contributed to this list, Chilltown contributed to this list, Ox, Ron, KB, Pirate, Gifted, Penn, Riv, Carson from Nerd Sesh, Dream, my original co-host, Swiper, Jordan, and Sean from the Hoop Venue podcast, friends of the show. That is everyone who helped make this list. Leave a comment of your top 10 point guards of all time. Tell us how we don't know Ball for having Steph 1, or how we don't know Ball for not having Bob Cousy, or whoever, whatever. Leave your comments, blah, blah, blah. Next week will be the shooting guards lists. That's one I'm very eager to get into. Obviously, we know who's going to be number one. Spoiler alert, is going to be Michael Jordan.
Kobe Bryant.
I'm not gonna lie. I think the small forward and shooting guard. I don't know what Ox is gonna do with a small forward position. The shooting guard position is the only one I'm convinced will have someone with maximum points. That's the only one I'm convinced someone will have maximum points. But anyway, that is for next week. Real Talk. Thank you for joining us. If you want to tell the people where they can find you and all that good stuff.
Oh no, thanks for having me. Again, been waiting on this one for a while now. So definitely glad to be here, man. You can catch me on YouTube at Real Talk EJLT. That's also where you can find me on Twitter and my playback as well, man. We've I think we just crossed 4,200 members on there. So shout out to the playback. Yeah, man, we've been streaming. Gonna be streaming all summer, watching old games. Watch a little bit of everything. Tonight we'll be watching the Love Island finale. So if you watch that.
Damn, I'm only on episode 14, man. I'm behind.
I'm on episode 0. Yeah,
you're gonna end up disappointed. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I've been dodging spoilers like raindrops.
Yeah. I'm disappointed. Mars, gotta watch something outside of basketball, man.
I'm good.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, since we're watching, has anybody seen Superman? Like,
not yet, but will be probably tomorrow. Actually.
Yeah, I saw Superman on Friday. I wouldn't say it's the perfect movie, but I definitely like the start. I
watched some old Orlando Magic games, so I saw some Dwight Howard. That's the closest you're gonna get to me seeing Superman.
Mars, man.
That's the closest. But John Z, where can everyone find you?
You guys can find me over at the Buzzer Sports. Currently working on some more content. I just got back from out of town, so I definitely have a lot of catching up to do. We're gonna find out if LeBron James is a pure scorer, because people love to throw out that narrative. We're also going to be covering the 2026 NBA draft before most of these guys even play a college game. We also cover the historic part of the game, which we've been doing a lot more recently. All things basketball, maybe even some more WNBA content if I get to that. But at the Buzzer Sports, you also can find me on TikTok, and you can find me on Playback, where we will be watching some of the greatest games of the Cavs and Warriors dynasty, or the Cavs and Warriors rivalry, sometime this week. So that's where you can find me.
There you go. As always, John D's links are in the description. If I'm good at my job, I will tag Real Talk. because that's what content creators do. But it is also quite late and I'm tired, but I will try. But thank you guys for watching. I apologize for the stream being chopped up into 2 parts. I don't know what happened. I don't know what went wrong, but you got a top 5 video, so that should be fun. But watch the original video to hear all the explanations on 16 through 6, and then watch this one obviously for the top 5. I will see you guys next week for the shooting guards list with some different guests. Real talk, this was your one and only appearance. Now we'll see about having you back. It was fun. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and we will see you when we see you. And goodbye, Dab. There we go.